What's up guys, it's your man the Skipper. In today's video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know for the Great One grind for whitetail here in Revontuli. Of course, the structure of this will be the same if you decide to do this on any other map, but I'm focusing solely on Revontuli. And make sure you pay attention to each and every one of these steps. If you skip one of these steps, it will have an adverse effect on your grind. In the end of the video, I'm going to release my personal map that shows every single location that whitetail could be at on the Revontuli map. And low key, I like to brag, it's going to be the best map you see. And lastly, after I show the map and back end of the video, I have huge news that you do not want to miss out on. So make sure you watch until the end. And if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. What is your favorite Great One? And on what map do you like to grind on? Alright, let's get started. Whitetail deer is a class 4 animal. Difficulty levels go from 1 to 3, and the Great One is a level 10 fabled, where it can make diamond at 2 and 3. Whitetail can be found here on Revontuli, Layden Lakes, Rancho del Arroyo, Mississippi Acres, and New England Mountains. Trophy scores: silver is 112.05, gold's 193.79, and diamond is 255.09. Common fur types are brown, dark brown, tan, red brown. Their rare fur types are piebald, and their very rare fur types are melanistic and albino. Their trophy organ is a skull, and when you aim, you want to shoot either the lungs, liver, heart, or lower neck to get full score. Great One rack variation: cluster or crown, short, drop time, blade, which is also called the Cinco or chainsaw, typical, and big rack. Collars that can be used are the deer bleat collar, has the highest attraction strength of 50 but lowest range at 150 meters. The buck snort wheeze has medium range of about 200 meters and attractive strength of 40. And the deer grunt collar is the weakest for traction with 25 but has the furthest range of 250 meters. And since the whitetail is a class 4 species, you could use up to 46 different types of weapons to ethically hunt them. But I'm only going to show you the 2 guns that I use for my grind that makes the grind super efficient. And my main grind gun would be the Arzina 300 Mag Tactical. You don't get integrity points, but you also limit your tracking. It easily puts a deer down and you don't have issues, for the most part, tracking them afterwards. And for trophies, I mainly like to use the Zarza 10 308 just because it has 5 rounds, quick rate of fire, low recoil, and it's just a good overall gun. But really, when you set up your grind, you want whatever gun you feel most comfortable with. These are the guns that I like. I like low recoil, quick rate of fire. It's easier for me to put multiple deers down at once. If you're not comfortable with that, use whatever gun you like the most. Alright, let's start off with tip 1. Finding all your drink zones. I know this is something that you probably have heard before, but it really is the most important thing in setting up a grind or hunting for a Great One. Yes, it doesn't directly affect you getting a Great One, but it does help get bigger respawns. Whitetail drink from 8 to 12. I would suggest you put your time around 9:15-ish. Really depends on how long it takes the whitetail to come into the zones. And whitetail cover the top 2/3 of the map. Basically from this point right here all the way across to this point right here is the lowest parts on this map that I have found it whitetail. And anything upwards, that's a water source. And if you stay tuned to the end of the map, I will show my personal map that does show every single location that a whitetail could possibly be spawned in at. And hunting drink zones is the easiest way to hunt animals. As you can tell right here, I have a clear line of sight of a whitetail. But I would like to note that, as you can tell, that whitetail and moose do not have the animation for actual drinking. Wait until the next step where I'll tell you a good trick on how to take multiple animals down because they don't drink, which makes them a lot easier to flee out. For hunting drink zones, you have a clear line of sight. They'll always be at the same location at the same time every day. And if you don't find all your drink zones, having one or multiple bigger whitetail will dramatically mess up your grind. I had an extra 1,000+ kills on both my fallow and red deer because of a random solo that went to a different side lake that I never checked. But there's also good news. Whitetail do not have solos, that I have seen at least. Highly recommend doing a herd management. It does take a little bit more work than just to shoot every animal you see, but the trophies you get are a lot better and they come more consistent than if you didn't. And check out my herd management setup that's in my description below. It works on every species and every map. Because let's face it, who doesn't want more diamonds? A better chance of getting a super rare. Having a herd management setup allows you to shoot more animals faster, which does increase the chance of spawning a great one. But let's move on to the next step. Alright, for step number 2, it's determining main zones. With 140 possible locations that you can find whitetail, picking the best zone is detrimental to setting up a grind. Even though I love this zone because it has great herd, it's hard to hunt. There's a lot of trees in the way, you can't set up close, and you can't extract the animal fast. So when you explore your map, finding your drink zones, I would suggest carrying a tripod or tent so you can identify and mark the locations that you want to hunt. And the main things you want to look for is zone. And unlike this one, you want to have a clear line of sight, how fast you can get from your tent to your tripod, how difficult is it to retrieve the animal, and how can you efficiently hunt this zone and jump to the next zone. I have only found 2 good locations on this zone itself to try to hunt it, and both are pretty bad. This is all downhill, so you don't actually see the animal. This is okay if you call them in, and this is okay to see 1 or 2 deer. But what you're looking for when you set up a zone would be something like this. See how this zone has a very clear line of sight? I can see the deer exactly where they are. There's no trees blocking the area. Same with this zone right here. I went from my tent to my tripod pretty quickly, and I can see the deer without any issues. And since there are about 140 zones in Revontuli, potential zones, what I did was I found 8 to 10 zones that I really liked that had a good herd on it, that had about at least 2 bucks. Since there's no solos, it really depends on how many you want to sift through. And what I did was with my remaining 10, I quadranted areas that didn't have an outpost to it and shot down all the zones. It went by pretty quick, roughly about 75 kills, and all my zones were shot down. But you want to make sure you check all the zones. I've seen on other maps a whitetail zone all the way at this corner, which there's not really a good setup to get to it. But if you go after drink time or even during their drinking, as if you spook them away, you can still get the need zone, which is really helpful. And it's really based off of what your preference is and what you like. I like nice open areas. I like to make it as easy as possible because I'm going to shoot hundreds of animals anyway. Like this zone right here, it's kind of too big, but this zone has been blown out from this corner to this corner, so right all the way here. Trying to figure out exactly where the possible line of sight would be at. And here we are at step number 3. What deer to shoot, what deer to keep, and what stacking means. So if you can tell by this zone right here, this is my shot down zone. This is a zone I do not plan on hunting. I shot the animals down to, I like to say, keep them low level 2s or level 1s with their high range roughly around 175 or lower, just like this zone right here. And this is a zone that's stacked, that has diamonds in it. And so the idea behind stacking diamond is keeping high level animals in your main zones, so when you shoot the lower zone, they decrease in value. It creates a balance of higher animals in your main zones and lower animals in low secondary zones. I like to do max weight, keep them in the main zone when I'm shooting as secondary zones. This way, all the secondary respawns become low, like this zone right here. And ideally, you don't want to shoot any animals as you're exploring your zones. And this will be for when you mainly discovered all your zones. And so this is one of my main zones that has gotten shot down. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly how to swap a zone. So we'll pick a deer. Let's say him. Since it really doesn't matter, use a 300. Put him to sleep. Now this is extremely important. You have to have a fresh restart before you do this process. What I didn't show beforehand was that I went to the main menu and reloaded the map. So what I do is I'm going to claim him. Then I'm going to go to a zone that I know that has a large deer that I want to shoot down. And I'm doing this at the end of the drink time, so when I restart the time, it saves me money. So I have these 2 large deer here, and this is really important. Do not shoot any females by all means. If you shoot a female, you risk splitting your zone. So if you split your zone here, what would happen is half your deer would go with the female somewhere else, which would make you have to find that deer again. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to take down these 2. They're both higher level. I'm gonna try to switch these levels out with that one lower level. And a good thing to do is if one is facing away, that's when you're gonna shoot second, because it's gonna turn around and face you. But since he's a larger one, pop him. And sometimes it just doesn't work. It's a lot harder to shoot whitetails since they don't drink. They flee a lot faster than, let's say, red deer or fallow, or even black bears. I'm gonna mark him so I know exactly where to go. And with whitetail, since there are no solos, the herds are smaller. You might see an average between 4 to 8 size herds, which normally be 1 or 2 females with a couple males, or you'll see 1 male with 3 or 4 females. Really depends on how your map is set up, but that's basically what you can see for the most part. So from this zone, you'll have this deer was level 212. This other deer's level score was 228.16. So with the attempts of trying to swap them, you come back here and reset the time. What I like to do is reset the time. Let's go back to 9 to 45 just to give them extra time to come into the zones. Then I'll back out menu, come to select reserve, and go to Revontuli. As I load back in, the deer should respawn. And as you can tell from backing up to the lobby, shooting the low level, and then shooting a high level here, these whitetail drop down to lower levels, ranging from 133 to 172, and level 1, 125 to 166, the range that I'm looking for. So the last thing I want to show for which deer to shoot, so let's recap real quick. For secondary zones, you want deer to be like this or smaller. And the last thing I want to show is how to take down multiple deer at the same zone. See how they're both facing away? If I shoot at the one closer to me and swing over as he's turning around and take him down too, like this. That way you can effectively take 2 deer down in each zone. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes you have to track, and sometimes it works out perfect like this. All right, for our recap, we want our main zones, we want to stack higher level diamonds, high level 2s, golds basically. Animals that are going to be level 193 or higher in your main zones. In your secondary zones, you want to shoot lower level, class 1 and low level 2s. All right, if you guys stuck around, I really appreciate it. And what you guys been waiting for, first off, we're going to go with my personal map. The reason why I say my map is the best is because I scour multiplayer maps, my own maps, and my friends' maps to make sure I get every single location and not just a general idea where these whitetail will be at. If you look at these circles in the epicenter, that's every zone these whitetail can be at. And why I put the big circles around it is because that's roughly about 150 meters diameter, meaning it gives you the best way to set up on these deer. You know exactly how to enter these lakes so you don't risk spooking these animals. Granted, these are every possible locations they could be at. Everybody's map is different, so use this map and find all your zones. Like I said, it's one of the most important parts of this setup. And to the final great news is that I'm releasing in the next week or 2 how to set up and get more rare video. And you're not going to want to miss this. I have hunted and fine-tuned this for months now to make sure that you get the most accurate information to help you out get more rares. So stay tuned and make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below. Is this guide helpful for you? And are you excited about getting more rares? All right, Skipper out. Peace.